answer is no. That everybody is born with a personality already. I mean, obviously you're going to learn through experiences and so on, but if you've had experience with children, some of you were children yourself at one point, probably, and ask mothers, and they'll tell you that the infant already has a personality type. Does that make sense? This is a good baby. This one is going to be a pain in the crib, or whatever. Frustrating, whatever could be. They have problems digesting. Who the heck knows what brings about a certain type of personality? But it seems like they have a certain type of personality. And in this case, the idea that you can teach someone to be good, to have a virtue, as opposed to them naturally wanting to have it, they seem to think that no, everyone has their personality already from birth. So in a sense, teaching virtue isn't something that you could really do that would actually change a person. But instead, of course, the people that want to learn are predisposed already to do that, and so on. Does that make sense? That's actually one of my test questions. For test 1. Plato describes 3 different types of persons in his psychology, and this is basically the beginnings of Plato's psychology, not Socrates' psychology, but Plato's going to give us a psychology. And by the way, psyche means soul or spirit, right? And ology, of course, is the study of. So psychology, the study of the soul, basically, right? Therapy is care, taking the care. But psyche is also a Greek goddess. I guess she's a goddess, isn't she? Psyche, and who is Psyche in love with? Eros. I thought so, but I was hesitant to say because I couldn't remember exactly. Which, by the way, of course, makes you wonder, well, were there really characters, gods, that had these names? Or are these just stories about a particular word? What does psyche mean? How do you remember psyche? How do you remember Santa Claus? What does Santa Claus represent?
Magical St. Nicholas.
St. Nicholas, yes. Being good. Charity, maybe? Giving presents to people? But who knows? Who knows where it came from? But so, he describes 3 different types of persons or personalities in his psychology. And so what are the characteristics of each of those? We'll see that Thursday when we talk about the Republic. We might get to it a little bit today. What are the characteristics of them and so on. Okay. So, in the Meno, this also demonstrates the Socratic method, the pedagogy of how you teach, and using Socrates' method. A lot of teachers are trained to do this, actually. You're not supposed to say, this is, and everybody has to write it down and learn it, right? Instead, you ask questions. What do you think is this? And you come up with the answer. kind of interesting where that actually comes from in our educational system. Actually comes much later. John Dewey was the educator who really introduced that activity school model into the United States and into the world, actually. So that's kind of intriguing. But it's clearly here in Socrates, and Socrates died in 399 BC. So how many years did he die before Jesus was born? 399. Or approximately, right? You know, that's a trick question, right? Okay. Yes.
I just have a question. So for the personality, so he's saying like your personality is like at birth, it's made at birth, and after that it can't change unless you're willing to.
Well, no such thing as willing, as far as I could see with Plato. Now, obviously, your personality is going to grow.
Yeah.
But what I think they're suggesting is, you know, it's in a way, Plato is a perhaps influenced by Buddhism or some other Persian religion, Zoroastrianism maybe. Who knows where all the influences were on him? But he's definitely influenced by the idea that there is reincarnation, right? Which I think that's fun. It means back to the meat, right? Chili con carne, chili with meat, reincarnation. So the soul dies, but then it gets reincarnated. It goes to another body, right? And I don't know if Plato would have argued that it's the same personality each time. Different body, but different body, or different body, but same personality. But it seems like what he's arguing is that it depends on how much soul gets infused into the body. That certain individuals have more soul than others. So when he describes the different types of personalities, you have associations with metals. So iron is one type of metal, silver is another, and gold is the best, obviously. Plato's official name, Plato is his nickname, right, meaning broad, right? But his official name was Aristocles, which means the glory of the best. So he's an elitist, and his philosophy is clearly focused on who's the best. Right? And the best are the ones with gold souls as opposed to silver and iron and brass. The common metals that are associated with working folks as opposed to the silver, who are kind of the military, and then the gold of the wise people, that he thought of himself. I mean, that's pretty clear. He thought himself wise and golden and all that sort of thing. So elite, especially, right? And you're born that way. How many different stories are you familiar with where, Oliver Twist, right? The Charles Dickens book, where Oliver, at birth or when he's a young kid, he's orphaned, and his family doesn't know where he went, and so he's in a workhouse, and he ends up joining, a group of wild kids and so on. But eventually, he's discovered because he is such a good kid. He's lovely to look at, I suppose. The British, whatever. But he's a blonde, beautiful, blue-eyed, good individual. And so eventually his grandparents find him, and he's, back in his rightful place in society, right? You can imagine that kind of story. Harry Potter, you're a wizard, Harry. And he has to be with this world, not that world, the Muggles, right? You imagine how many different You know, Luke Skywalker's the same way, right? In fact, let me throw this in here. So this is the monomyth. How many folks are familiar with that? Yes, a couple? Okay. So, when we talk about stories, seems like there's basically one story. Now, when we study Aristotle, he'll say there's two plots. You have tragedy and comedy, as far as Aristotle's concerned. Tragedy is when the hero does everything correctly, but still gets crucified in the end. Jesus, for example, right? Of course, Aristotle's not talking about Jesus, but there you go, right? The other plot for Aristotle is comedy. And comedy is the one where the hero does, or the main character, you shouldn't really call him a hero, but the main character does everything wrong. Everything wrong, and yet succeeds. Which makes it hilarious, right? By the way, the scariest movie I think out there is Beverly Hills Chihuahua. You're all laughing, but hey, look at this. I'll show you what happens. This is Beverly Hills Chihuahua, right? I'll just play the
Welcome to the home of the rich and famous.
I'll give you anything you want.
Yes, I will.
No, not you, Patrick.
Where no one is more pampered and privileged than the Beverly Hills Chihuahuas.
It's not easy to find a mate with papers.
Hey, talk to the pond.
But Poppy is the one dog who's his own man.
Lovely.
Who is that hungry chihuahua?
Ever need someone to lick inside your ears? I would be most honored.
What?
I'm about to entrust you with my greatest treasure.
You take good care of her.
Wake up! Come on!
Oh, no, she didn't. But everything is about to go south.
We're going on a trip.
Mexico!
Hello.
Hola and adios.
Hold your tacos.
Now,
Chloe's in trouble. I mean, come on, fool, let's go.
the most pampered dog in Beverly Hills is 1,000 miles from home.
Don't you speak any Spanish?
I was
Why
thinking
would I
Chloe.
speak Spanish?
Hello, you a Chihuahua, mija?
And this rebel and his crew
Say hello to my little friends.
are on a mission
Let's go get Chloe.
that's off the leash.
I'm gonna kiss her tail.
Don't eat me, I got a wife and 300 kids to feed.
Nice legs. For the love of a banana.
Let's get out of here.
Walt Disney Pictures presents
I could use a little help.
the greatest Chihuahua movie
Oh, yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, homie. I have never had my teeth brushed before. It's minty.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Hi, Viv. I want to talk to Chloe. Would you put her on? Hi, honey.
I know it's supposed to be funny, but here's why I think it's scary. It follows the monomyth exactly. Chloe gets separated. The part of it is it gets separated. Harry Potter loses his parents. He's separated. Luke Skywalker loses his parents. Thank goodness, initially, right? But if you think about it, Oliver Twist, he loses, so the individual loses the parents, and they find a mentor, different helpers, Rubius Hagrid, Albus Dumbledore, Sirius Black, which by the way is red, white, and black, which is the the alchemist narrative, by the way, if you're interested. But so you end up with each individual gradually having experiences. They fight with Voldemort. They fight with the Death Star. They fight with different things and they gradually improve their overall ability to fight the evil until they finally end up with the fight that basically destroys them. Right? Chloe dies in that movie, it seems, in the cave where she attacks Diablo. Right? The mean Doberman Pinscher, right? That belongs to the gang, that's trying to